Today, I'm gonna show you guys the best competitive drop spots for Season 7. As always, drop a like if you enjoy this or find this helpful and consider subscribing. So our first spot is going to be in the very back of Slurpy. Something a lot of these spots I'm showing this video have in common is that they're pretty low-key spots. They're areas in the map where you're likely to not get contested at all, and if you are gonna get contested, maybe one person max. Especially in competitive, a lot of people actually drop Slurpy. It doesn't have a ton of loot, but you're almost guaranteed to walk out with max shield because of all the slurp barrels and this little area. So you're probably gonna have at least 2 to 3, maybe more people landing Slurpy. Back here is one of the new IO alien spots. So what I did notice with the few times that I dropped back of Slurpy, there were about 2 to 3 people that went to this new alien spot. So what I actually suggest is not going and contesting them, but rather landing over here. There's 3 chest spawns along with 3 different floor loot spawns, and then a 4th chest is not too far away from that. So you're going to get some sort of loot. It might not be insane off the bat, but no one else is going to be landing here, so you're not gonna have to fight with that loot. What you can actually do is just rotate right over. You can pick up this chest, pick up this chest, and the floor loot over here. Then you rotate over here, get this dock, and at this point, after you've looted like 6 chests and like 6 different floor loot items, then that's when you might come into contact with another player. If someone lands here, you might have a little bit of an early game fight, but at this point, you'll definitely have max wood. You'll probably have a little bit of brick, maybe a little bit of metal, and you'll have pretty decent loot. Still, you'll be pretty ready to fight this anyway. But honestly, from the couple times that I dropped, there was no one even here. So I got another 3 chests. I gotta loot all this. And from here, you can rotate all the way across this water. There's gonna be no one on this side of the map. And over here, if no one loots it, you can see there are 4 different chest spawns and a ton of floor loot spawns. And after you loot this and want to rotate out, you're gonna be over by the ship area in Holly, and you can just rotate through there. So once again, avoid the alien IO area. A few people are gonna be there. Loot this area quickly and start rotating out. So if there's any stragglers come rotating out of this area quickly, then you're already gone and you're ready maybe all the way over here. You just gotta watch out for zones sometimes, because this whole looting path does probably take 3 to 5 minutes maybe. And if you have a middle of the map zone, you're obviously gonna have to get running. So that's spot 1, super low key, super easy to get mats and pretty good loot. And overall, it's a pretty solid drop spot this season. The next best drop spot for Season 7 is actually the retail Spire. And I will say, while you're likely to not have a spawn fight at the retail Spire, it is more likely that you get in a fight earlier than some of the other spots I show in this video. Because while there's pretty good loot here, it doesn't take but maybe 2 minutes to loot. And then you have the Spire, obviously, to rotate out of. And when you're rotating from the Spire, here's a couple of areas I like to go. You got this little building over here that usually has pretty decent loot, actually, and it has a lot of trees and brick around it. Another one is to rotate over to this house area. Now, if you do decide to make this rotate, there's almost always gonna be someone landing here. So if you do make this rotate, then just be prepared to fight that. And another rotate you can actually make from the Spire is all the way to this new IO area. Again, this new Season 7 IO alien area has a ton of loot. There's going to be at least 1 to 3 people that land there. By the time you make your rotate, there's probably only going to be 1 left. But again, if there's someone that lands over here, they might try to third party you. So like I said before, if you land here, you're likely to fight someone earlier than some of the other spots. However, if you're someone that likes to take earlier game fights and likes to get right into the action and get your points up, then the retail Spire is definitely a solid drop. Really, the only thing you have to worry about is retail. You don't want to be anywhere near retail. You don't really want to rotate into retail unless you see an easy third party fight from the Spire. And then you will want to watch out from early rotates from retail into this Spire location. You don't want to be caught off guard by someone that leaves retail really early. The third best drop spot for Season 7 is actually going to be over in the back of Coral. Similar to the first spot, literally no one lands here. You are going to have a few people that drop in this area, and this is again one of the new alien IO areas, and this is a castle area area that has a pretty good amount of loot. However, they're gonna drop across the way, and this is actually a pretty decent valley, so they're not likely to rotate over there right away. So pretty much the only time you ever have to worry about getting contested is if one of the people that drop IO or castle area decide that their spot is too contested. They might end up changing up their drop spot last second and coming over here. Now, if you drop here a lot and learn this area, learn everything down to a T, then you're going to win that fight 98% of the time. If you land up here, get this chest, get this floor loot, then their only weapon spawn is down here on this beach. And if they do fade off of this area and go over here, you're going to have the high ground on them. It's going to be an easy early game kill. And then from here, you can move on and loot the rest. This actually has a pretty good amount of loot. It has a lot of brick, it has a lot of wood. The only thing that I'm not a huge fan of with this area is the rotates out of it. I really don't like fighting coral, and I really don't like fighting at believer. So my rotates usually look something like I'll come from here down onto this island. I'll kind of swim across this little waterfall edge. I'll end up over here, and then I kind of make my way over towards like the back of Pleasant. So this is typically what my rotation path looks like. I'm pretty out of the way of anyone at Coral, so they're not even likely to see me. I'm pretty out of the way at anyone at Believer, so they're really likely to not see me or even engage with me if they do see me. It's possible you can end up in a fight on this little island with rotators from Coral. However, in the couple times that I dropped there, that was never the case, and I was able to successfully rotate straight over it, end up in the back of Pleasant. And from here, you can obviously go wherever zone moves. You can go into Pleasant if you're looking for a fight. Overall, I would say this is like my first or second favorite drop spot this season because it's super low key. Literally no one goes there. If someone does land coral, you have the high ground on them if they do want to engage, or if you want to engage in an early game fight. If someone flakes off of their main drop over here, you have an easy kill on them. And then if you follow this rotation path, you're likely to not even engage with anyone. Our fourth spot again is somewhere that might get contested a little more than somewhere like coral or the back of Slurpy, but it is a relatively low-key spot, and that's actually the Spire over near Misty. Now, I have two Spires on this list, and that's for a reason. Spires came out last season in season 6, so the hype has kind of died down for them this season. At the beginning of season 6, a ton of people were landing Spire, and now that area has changed to like the alien IO areas. A ton of people are landing there because it's something new. So this leaves a lot of the Spire locations pretty uncontested, and that's why this whole area over near Misty is a pretty good drop spot. Now, you have a few different areas of where to initially land. My favorite is to actually initially land here and then rotate over here. So as long as there's no one going Spire initially, I do like to land here. There's not a ton of loot, but it's enough. And then it's a super fast rotate to get over here to the Spire. Now here at the Spire, you're gonna want to loot up pretty quickly because there might be early rotations out of Misty towards the Spire. So you're gonna want to make sure you hit up this building. I would probably go around the back side of this area just so people from Misty can't take shots at you. And at this point, you're gonna have looted a ton of floor loot and 5 or 6 chests. You're probably gonna be pretty set if someone from like over here or Misty does decide to rotate in and try to fight you. From the couple games that I played, that didn't happen, and I was able to rotate from the Spire over here, land up here on this rock point. You can get max brick here really easily, and there's actually usually some pretty decent loot here as well. And my favorite part about landing here, then rotating here, then going here, is that once you're at this rock formation, you can rotate back up here, then you can go up here, and at every single point throughout this rotation, you're gonna have complete high ground on anyone maybe coming in from Slurpy or Misty. You're on this huge mountain overlooking them, so you're gonna have the advantage in that fight 10 out of 10 times. And then from here, you can obviously go wherever you want. You're gonna be pretty close to the middle of the map, so rotations, even if they pull far, are not gonna be a big deal. If you're looking for a fight, there's likely to be people at the new alien IO area once again. And really, if you just continue with this rotation up and through, there is actually so much loot. Again, not as low-key as some of the other areas, but definitely still a really solid spot. And if you like getting in more frequent fights, then this might be a really good drop for you. Now, the fifth and final best drop spot of season 7 is actually just this huge field in between Holly and Believer Beach. This area off drop is literally completely desolate. You will not see anyone over in this area unless they decide that either their main drop spot, Holly or Believer, is too contested. Then you might see one or possibly two of them straggle off and maybe land at one of these random spots. However, just like the coral drop, if you land here frequently in practice and learn this area down to a T, you will win that fight almost every single time. The loot here is decently spread out. There's a couple different houses that pinpoint some of it. So what I was typically doing was landing here at this middle house and then rotating over to this house. In between this house, this little campfire area, and over here, I actually ended up with some pretty decent loot, and I would say you are pretty safe for the first at least 2, possibly 3 minutes of the game. You don't even have to worry about anyone from Believer or Holly. You're gonna be completely by yourself. But once you start taking into 4, maybe 5 minutes into the game, you will start to get some rotators out of Believer or out of Holly, and it's possible that they will end up in this vicinity. Also, if you end up too close to this area, someone usually always lands in this area over at this like mansion location. There's really no loot that's really close to this anyway, so it's really not necessary to even be over in that direction. But like I said, if you drop this area a lot, learn it down to a T, you can land here, get all this loot for free, and then after you're done looting here, it's really easy to third party a Holly or Believer fight if that's what you decide you want to do. But that is going to be the final spot. Drop a like if you enjoyed or this helped you out, and consider subscribing. Thank you guys for watching.